Good morning. Thank you for joining us for morning meditations. And you might be wondering where Pastor is and why my face is here instead. But Pastor, as most of you know, is going to be teaching classes at a Bible college here, New England Baptist College, just south of us here. And so he's doing that on Tuesday mornings. And so his schedule's a little full right now. He will return next week. He'll be doing the devotions for us still. Just this week, his plate's a little full. Also, he's going to be traveling out, dropping off his daughter Kara at Bible college this week as well. So for this week, you'll see me here today and on Thursday morning, and then Pastor will be back next week. So if you want to skip the devotions this week, well, we'll understand why, but hopefully you still join us. Today we're going to be in Psalms 91. Psalms 91. It's the first day of the month, September. So we're at Psalms 91, and this is a good song. This is a favorite of many folks. And let's just read a couple verses, starting in verse 1. The Bible says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh unto thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the rewards of the wicked." And we'll stop there, but this is a classic psalm of comfort, a psalm of being able to trust in God. And we're just going to look at a couple of the things it says here today and meditate on it. This is a good psalm to think upon. "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." And this is, of course, a psalm by David. And David, we know, he went through some hard times. He had some days where he didn't know if he would survive. He had people after him, people that wanted him dead, people that just hated him, especially King Saul, and for no reason, for no reason that he could think of, nothing that he deserved more than anyone else. And yet he had to struggle, and he went through these fearsome times, and he had to hold on to that promise that God was there for him. And that in spite of the crazy circumstances, in spite of his life being upside down, he couldn't be at home. He couldn't even be with his family. And he was always on the run, always on the move. Never knew where he would be able to sleep that night, if he'd be able to sleep. Always for fear of his life, didn't know who he could trust. But he knew that God was there for him. And so he said he spent a lot of time in that secret place, dwelling in that secret place, a place where he would get alone and talk to God. And many a late night, many an early morning, he had nowhere else to go. He had nothing else to be doing. He didn't know who else to rely on, and he could be found in that secret place, somewhere away from everybody else, away from the few friends he had, the few followers he had. And he would get away from them, and he would be alone somewhere in a cave, somewhere in the forest, somewhere where just he could talk to God. And he knew that God was there for him. And in spite of a crazy circumstances and a wild roller coaster ride of a life that was mostly downhill, he knew that God was there for him. He knew that God would be protecting him. And in that secret place, in that time that he spent with the Lord, he knew he was under God's shadow. He knew that God was protecting him, and he gives us very descriptive language there. And God was his shield, his buckler. He was his protection. The image of almost a mother hen there protecting her little ones and sheltering the young chicks. And he said, that's how I felt with God. I knew that I was in a safe place, a secure place. He was all over and around me. His shadow was over me. And he knew that because he spent time in that secret place. And friend, today I know some of us, we don't always have as easy of a life as we want. Sometimes circumstances don't always line up the way we want, especially this year. And there's ups and downs to life. There's things that can really throw us for a loop. There's things that happen that it messes with our plans. It messes with everything we had going for us. And if we're not careful, we'll let something like that mess up our life. We'll have to focus on our job. It'll take us out of church. It'll take us away from our Bible reading. And what David knew is that in spite of everything else, if he could just have that time with God, spend time in that secret place, it put everything in his life in perspective. And today, friend, I challenge you, whether or not you feel like things are going well for you, whether or not you feel like you're going through a storm or a trial in life, if you are, then I have good news for you. And if you're not, it's coming. It's going to come sooner or later. And I have the same advice for you. Spend some time in that secret place. Spend some time each day. Find a place where you can just get alone and talk to God. You don't literally have to be hiding somewhere. You don't literally have to, be down in a closet, but just get somewhere where you can be away from the distractions and noises of life. The biggest distraction we have today is our cell phone, probably. Most of us, put that thing on silent, put it somewhere where you're not going to see it going off, and just spend some time talking to God. Spend some uninterrupted time, unconnected from anything else, where you and God can just be alone and talk. And just, you don't have to have an agenda. You don't have to just go to Him with all of your needs and prayer requests, but just be alone with God. Talk to Him. Maybe read some of the Psalms that hopefully you're going through these with us each month, and read it aloud. Talk to God and let Him comfort you. And when you put things in perspective like that and you see God for who He is and you realize that He's there for you, He'll put it all in perspective, and we'll realize that you too can abide, can dwell, can live under the shadow of the Almighty, under His protection, behind His shield and buckler. And all these things we read about that David was facing, the distractions, the war, the pestilence, and he just lists all these dangerous things that happen. And he said he could see people all around him that would fall and succumb, and people all around him would be punished, and people all around him, their life would end, and things unfair would happen, and all kinds of dangerous chaos was happening. But he knew that in his life, even though he was going through some of the same things, he knew that his end would be different. He knew that he would be protected. But we can know that God is in control, and behind the scenes He is moving and He is working, and He is there. We can see Him at work. If He's working behind the scenes, maybe we should make it known and seen in our life. Since He's working there anyway, let's see Him at work. Let's recognize Him for who He is. Let's glorify Him for what He's doing. And then we can trust in Him. We can have that peace that David had in spite of one of the most chaotic lives that any of us has ever lived. David had such peace because he spent each day in that secret place. And he knew that he was dwelling, he was living, he was spending his life here on earth under the shadow, the protection of someone bigger than him. And we can have that same promise. We can have that same realization. Thank you for joining us this morning. God bless you. We'll see you next time.